is a Friday on the Morning Roast. Of course, Stephen Langford in for Bonte Hill. Been filling in for the past couple of weeks. Bonte will be back on Monday. He actually might be home by now. I saw him post on Instagram yesterday that he was on the flight home. I don't know if he's home or not.
Well,
Maybe
I appreciate he documented every step of his trip.
Wouldn't you?
Well, I mean, the longest trip in the history of radio.
Yeah. It's been 2.5
Today, I'm
weeks.
slandering him. And
Are
God
ya?
bless him.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why?
Because he's finally going to be back in on Monday. So,
Yes.
you know, I mean, geez Louise.
You're not gonna have to talk on Monday.
Well, it's literally the longest trip in the history of man when it comes to radio or woman. And, you know, this guy owes me.
You're going to take 2.5 weeks off now, too?
If I took 2.5 minutes off in the show, if I don't look at him, if I text during the show, he loses his mind. I'm coming for you.
Hey, man,
B.
he's only called once. But good morning, everybody. We got a lot to get to today.
So much.
Because it is officially preseason for the 49ers. Last night we had a couple of games, but it is officially the start of football. You are going to be seeing some on-field action. Of course, thank you for tuning in. 888-957-9570. That's the Comcast business text line and the phone number. Catch us live on YouTube. Catch us live on Twitch. Look, we got plenty to get into with football. Jimmy Garoppolo, the news that surfaced yesterday.
Unreal.
Why did that article have to be released? I don't know, 2 hours after our show was done, maybe an hour and a half after our show was done.
Because that's how it works.
So you get a whole day to react to it on the station, but you know what? We got to react to that as well. Plus, a trade partner has officially been written about with Jimmy Garoppolo, but it's not all good. It's going to be the talk today. We are going to talk about the actual team that's getting on the field. Yeah. We're going to have some players that we're looking forward to, ones that we saw in training camp, who you should be watching out for tonight, who's going to be getting significant playing time. But before we get into everything football, there wasn't a Giants game, but we did have a Field of Dreams game last night, and I do want to get your thoughts on it because I know that you're a sucker for baseball.
I'm a sucker
Shasky.
for that.
Yes. Yeah, that, like, when I saw that last year after the Yankees and White Sox, like, saw the uniform, saw the camera angle with the pitcher.
Ridiculous.
Everything that they did, the corny Kevin Costner scene. Where
it wasn't corny. It was incredible. It tugged at my heart.
It was a tiny bit corny, Shasky. But when I saw that it was going to be Cubs-Reds, I was like, Cubs-Reds? Remember that? They released those teams last year, and it's like, okay. But then you see the jerseys in the field. Ken Griffey Jr. and Ken Griffey Sr. out there having a catch, as they call it.
This is the problem that I have with the media. They'll complain about Jags Titans, but yet they're all watching. And then last night we get something unique. Okay, it's a couple hours.
Yeah,
it's totally different. I thought it was super cool.
Yeah.
Beautiful uniforms, which we all agree. Like, baseball's got the coolest old school uniforms. It's not even close, right? And then Ken Griffey and Ken Griffey Jr. coming out of the corn stalks playing catch to start with. I mean, come on, dude. Come on, dude.
Man, I you know what? I didn't watch that live. I did catch the first few innings. Didn't catch the entire game.
Joey
last
Votto
night.
mic'd up.
Joey Votto was awesome.
Incredible.
You can tell how much that meant to him.
It was cool.
But with Ken Griffey Jr. and Sr., when Sr. drops the ball on the first throw, I'm also just imagining if you and your dad were doing that for the Field of Dreams game, and your dad would have dropped the ball, you would have been like, Dad, what are you doing?
No,
catch the ball.
I would have said 2 hands. God gave you 2, use them. I mean, that's what we say,
But the spectacle was fantastic.
It was incredible. And look, if it's not your cup of tea, stop complaining. Change the channel. Maybe you just don't like sports. That's the one thing I've realized now more than ever, especially during the pandemic. Like 90% of the people covering sports hate sports. They literally, you have to force them to actually watch it. If you don't like it, change the channel. I thought it was awesome. First off, the Cubs and Reds both stink. For 2 hours, just to watch the setting and how beautiful it was, how can you not be happy? Like, seriously, Joey Votto's been in the game for almost 20 years, all right? I thought it was a coronation of his career. He's probably one of the great Cincinnati Reds of the last 40 or 50 years. Barry Larkin, him. You want to throw Sabo and some of those guys out there? Fine. You know what I mean? But love watching him. And I just thought it was really, really, really cool. And to see all the different guys mic'd up, that was awesome. Some of the camera angles, the fans. Like, I thought it was really, really, really cool.
I like the camera angle, though, the one just right behind the pitcher. The one that you showed the most.
Cool.
Yeah, I think they should I think they should put that in regular season games. Like,
I'm with you on
just
that.
regular games. I mean,
Yeah.
if you're going to take anything from that, like if you're baseball, you're seeing the success that it has. Take something from it. Hell, I don't know. You have a 162 game season, Shasky. We talk so much about how this
totally
season
agree.
is too long.
Totally
and,
agree.
You know, maybe they need to shorten the season, but we also understand that baseball is a sport of tradition, and 162 games is the marathon that we
Yeah.
all love to watch. But within that marathon, can't you put maybe 1 or 2 games that are like that? You have 162 games to work with.
I'm totally
I
with
know
you.
it costs a lot of money, but baseball, you have money. Okay? You're fine. Like, do something like this to get your viewership up, because Field of Dreams, all-time classic, especially when it comes to baseball movies. Like, just in movies here, just in movies in general, Field of Dreams is a classic.
What's the hockey equivalent? They have it's the outdoor game. Come on, they did it up in Tahoe,
Yeah,
and the ice
yeah.
kept like melting. They've
Yeah.
done it at Levi's.
Oh, Winter Classic.
Winter Classic. Thank you.
yeah.
Like,
oh,
these-
I thought you were talking movie. I was like, Slapshot?
Well,
With
like
Paul Newman?
I like when sports experiment and go
Miracle?
back to their quote unquote roots. I'm not saying you got to do it all the time, and sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. Like being on the I want to say it's a ship. I don't know. Excuse my vernacular, but remember when Duke and North Carolina played on like the USS whatever? Do you remember
Yes.
that? The aircraft carrier.
Yes.
That was cool. It was a novel thing. You did it one time. All right, whatever. This works. I want to see Giants Dodgers Sandlot. Like that's what I want to see. Create a Sandlot type of a setting, something that's up for the professionals, and figure this out. Benny the Jet was a Dodger, all right, or Benny Rodriguez. Figure out how to put this thing together. I absolutely love what they did last night, and I just think that baseball in general needs to lean into their history even more. Some of these sports, football is always going to be looking toward the future. Basketball is always going to be looking toward the transaction. Baseball, lean into your past. These old school uniforms tug at the heartstrings.
Basketball right now is just trying to keep their players engaged throughout the entire regular
Right?
season. It's like, hey, let's add a mid-season tournament so the players have some incentive to actually try in the middle of the season. But yeah, you're absolutely right. I love that in the entire like the opening. Kevin Costner.
How about
everything.
the outfits from the announcers?
All of it.
Now, Verducci.
Did you see John Morosi?
It was great, and I love John Smoltz. Like, if I hear John Smoltz reference the early '90s Braves one more time, I'm gonna have to throw up in my mouth. But like, I like the way that everybody leans in on it. And the only guy that I can't stand on that entire broad is Verducci. Verducci just is insufferable. Verducci's the guy I'm talking about. Tom Verducci. When I talk about insufferable media people that have no connection to being a fan, it's Tom Verducci. Straight up, he ruins baseball more than anyone.
I love Tom Verducci until I saw that Hall of Fame video
God.
when he made it as a Hall of Fame voter, where he's acting like, Hall of Fame voters have the toughest job in the world, and he made a 5-minute video with the slow motion camera
like
work
he was
and the
a
piano.
hospital worker during the pandemic. I mean, that's the way
And it
he
was
thinks that he's doing his job.
And it was released
This guy's ridiculous.
around that time too.
The guy's never worked a hard day in his life. That's the kind of guy, if you threw a shovel at him and say, hey, yo, dig this hole, the guy, I can't do it. He'd be crying.
But this sound, I want to play this for you. This is Kevin Costner honoring Ray Liotta,
Yes.
as Ray Liotta
Oh.
was in the movie, and they really did right by him here.
Yeah.
When Ray died back in May, I reminisced about how our batting practice moment together was not a stunt. It was real, and it happened as you saw it. I said that God gave us that stunt that night, and now God has Ray.
Yeah, you can hit the curveball.
Long live Shoeless Joe, and long live Ray.
I got chills.
Of course.
I got chills here
Ray
on that.
Liotta, look, for guys our age, Ray Liotta is an icon, right? All the movies. Goodfellas is one of the greatest movies of all time. When
It's
we
my
think of
favorite
like
movie ever.
mob movies, mafia, he's the dude. You know what I mean? Like him, De Niro, obviously, in all those movies. It's
Pesci.
just Pesci, of course. Like, I love Ray Liotta and his character in this particular movie. Everybody, whether you have a dad or you don't, or you are a dad or you're not, everybody can relate to that at some level. For some people, it's your moms. For some people, it's your uncles. For some people, it's your grandpa or whatever, or your aunt who taught you sports at some level, whether it's kicking a soccer ball, playing catch with a football, playing catch with a baseball. I contend playing catch, to me, is one of the most natural highs you can get. I don't care what anyone says. I hand you a glove, you smell the dirt off the glove, and you and me start playing catch, you become a ball player.
Yeah.
I live for it, and I'm so glad that baseball gets back to its roots, because we get so crazy when it comes to money and contracts and the team sucks. And for one night to suspend all of that and just kind of lean into nostalgia, I'm here for it.
Yeah, no, I'm with you on the playing catch too, but it's
an endorphin
Let's
high.
go play catch.
I know, not have a catch.
It's not have a catch,
but that's an East Coast thing.
Is it?
That's what they say. I don't, because I watched this whole MLB thing leading up to this last year before the Yankees and Sox played, and they talked to all these different guys from around the country, and from the East Coast, some of these guys says, let's have a catch.
Right.
Where me and my dad, let's go play catch.
Dad? You want to have a catch?
I mean, come on. Come on. Come on.
I love the movie, Shasky, but can we have a catch?
I mean,
Can we have a catch?
but you know what? It's not about the exact words.
I know.
It's the moment.
I know.
You know, the fog coming in.
I know, Shasky.
And the sun coming down.
You're looking at this logically. You're looking at this sentimentally. I'm looking at it like like any expected millennial would, because that's what we do.
I know.
We just try to poop on things.
Look, I'm a sucker for playing
I know.
catch.
I
All
know.
right, I
No,
love
me too.
sports.
No, I'm with
and I
you.
think that sometimes we forget about how much we love sports. We come in
Yeah.
here, we're angry at this, we're angry at that, like whatever. Like the reason why I love sports is it brings me back A, to my childhood, and then B, also, again, I'm telling the endorphin high of playing catch and doing things like that. I live for that. When we were growing up, we used to slap the top of the door, you know, whatever you call the over the door area. What is that? The doorway. You know, you'd slap it. You never did this growing up?
What? Like when there's
There's like an arch in your house.
Oh.
Everyone would like slap the top. We'd have hand marks over. You never did that?
not in my house.
Really?
Yeah, not in my house.
You guys don't know what I'm talking about?
Dude, we used to dunk on each other.
That's what I'm saying.
Exactly.
Greg
I know
knows.
exactly what you're talking about.
Sam, do you know what I'm talking about?
I mean, yeah, I've whacked a door frame every now and then with my hand.
Like when
Yeah.
you're walking down the street
Oh,
in the
weird
city,
way to word
you
it.
jump up and slap a street sign. You didn't do that?
Well, of course I did that, but I'm talking in my house.
Yo, we do it all the time.
Yes, anywhere else I'm good. But I mean, you know, I used to be like the kid in Spider-Verse or whatever. You know, the main kid, Miles Morales, where he'd like slap stickers on signs and stuff.
Oh, so you were a tagger.
Yeah, maybe.
Well, you
A
know.
little bit, yeah.
But-
But not playing catch though is how me and my brother connected.
That's what I'm saying.
When we were younger, my brother played the bully role.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like he was the kind of guy to play that older brother, little brother, have that sort of relationship. But whenever we'd play catch, all that trouble would go out the window.
Exactly.
None of the bullying would come through until, of course, then, you know, he's like, all right, grab a bat. I'm about to strike your ass out.
Well-
you know what I mean? Like until that happened.
I'm so glad you brought that up because me and my brother to this day, we're getting older now, and he's got kids, and I got crazy lives. And when we play catch, it's like centering ourselves, and we're just talking, and we're just playing catch. And I'll throw him a knuckleball, he'll throw me some curveballs. You know what I mean? Just I don't know. There's just something
Yes.
euphoric about it,
Yes.
and there's something that really, for me, releases all the stress in my life, and nothing matters. And that's why I love sports. And I know some people can't relate to that, but I think the majority of our audience totally understands what I'm saying right now.
So I want to continue on with this Field of Dreams game here because there's one more thing that I do want to get to. But continuing on with the catch conversation here, my dad. Anytime we'd ask my dad, "Hey, you want to go?" Because he would coach me in baseball.
Yeah.
He'd umpire. He'd be involved with Little League.
Yeah, he has a
Throughout.
field named after him.
Throughout. Yes, he does. Yes, he does. The 50-70 field or the softball field. Excuse me.
So cool, by the way.
yeah.
I mean that. That's like
Thanks, man.
really cool. I know
Yeah.
you lost your dad this year, and maybe you don't want to
Yeah.
talk about it on there, but
Yeah.
like that is super cool.
But-
I mean that, dude.
Thanks,
That is
man.
so cool.
But going back to, you know, when me and my brother were playing catch,
Yeah.
and it's like, hey, Dad, you want to come play catch? And he gave the most English person answer ever because he was English.
Yeah.
He's from England. And he's like, I can't. Why? Threw my arm out playing cricket. I was like, really? I didn't know that. You know what I mean? So
that's
you
incredible.
never had to ask him to play catch after that, but it was all good. But there's one more thing I want to get to.
Yeah,
here.
get to it.
So the take me out to the ball game. You know, it's iconic in Chicago.
Of course it is.
So I'm gonna play.
What'd you
this.
think of the hologram?
So
Because they brought a hologram. If you
Yeah.
weren't watching, they had a hologram. Like Tupac, they put a hologram up of Harry Carey.
Right.
And Harry Carey used to sing, I would say mildly drunk, the, seventh inning stretch. And that's kind of like the famous thing. And most people our age know it because Will Ferrell spoofed it.
Yes.
But if you're a Cubs fan, even a little, or just a fan of baseball, Harry Carey used to stick out of the press box area where he would broadcast games and he would sing the seventh inning stretch.
if the moon were made of spare ribs,
You became him.
Would you eat it? I would. I'd have seconds. But the hologram, the hologram with Tupac at Coachella, people could see it. Could people at the game see the Harry Carey?
I don't know.
hologram?
I thought it was a little odd
Because I was watching it, and it was a lot like the kind of how I felt when I was watching the deep fake 30 for 30
Yes.
with Al Davis versus the NFL, when I was watching the deep fakes
Yeah.
of him and Rozelle. But with Harry Carey, I was watching it, and the fans in the stands, it's not like they're turned around. It's not like they all have
everyone was looking toward the
Everyone
field.
was looking out toward the field, so it made me think, all right, well, it's a hologram, but if they can't see it,
I don't know.
It's not like the Tupac hologram at Coachella at all. This is just for the television viewer. I thought it was awesome. You want to play it?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Let me hear you. Good and loud. On 1, on 2, on 3. Take me out to the ball game. Take me out to the crowd.
Mouth was like,
Buy me some peanuts and Cracker Jack. I don't care if I ever get back to its room. It's late, oh, and it's a shame. For it's 1, 2, 3 strikes
You know what I appreciate about society back in the day?
what's that?
It was completely acceptable to be a little tipsy. No, like seriously,
Yeah.
I know we're in this PC culture now,
Right.
and you're not allowed to do this and do that. Don't we kind of all miss the days of our broadcaster being off a few sips of brandy?
Yes.
Like just
Yes,
a
we
little.
do. And wash it down with a nice cold Budweiser.
Exactly. But like, there's something that I think is super pure about those times. It seems more simple, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I'm
they
not
were.
saying- I know
Well,
society changes and evolves. I understand all that.
Yeah.
But isn't there something kind of like lovable about your old grandpa sipping brandy while getting drunk during the game, and he's the voice of the Cubs?
and he's doing it in a way where it's as if he's a fan too. Like, that sort of stuff is missed. I do agree. Social media, that can't happen, though.
No, it can't. And the other thing that really made me think about it is the way Cubs fans look at Harry Carey. That's how Giants fans 25 years from now are going to think of Kipe and Kruk and John Miller.
Yeah.
And it's something that really stuck out to me. Like, man, we are so damn lucky to have those guys. And I want Flem obviously involved in it, but I believe that Flem's got a long,
Right.
long runway. You never know with life, but
Yeah.
it's all my guys that are the voice of my youth are all getting aged out, and it sucks because there is, a lifespan to this thing. But I was thinking about them too, and like what that would mean to be a Giants fan to have a moment like that.
So, Dave Fleming, now that you mentioned him, he was on last week with us, or earlier this week, rather, and we were talking about the Field of Dreams game. We mentioned it
Yeah.
right at the end, and he said, I don't want to reveal anything, but he has heard that there's a possibility that the Giants and the Dodgers could be playing a game in New York as if they were the New York Giants and the Brooklyn Dodgers.
I
So
would be
that
here
could
for it.
happen.
Create a fake Polo Grounds or Ebbets Field, and let's figure this thing out. Like, seriously, we've all seen photos of the Polo Grounds and the dimensions and how goofy and,
Yes.
and weird they were. How can we, in 2022, not find a field somewhere? I'm not saying you have to build the entire infrastructure, but at least set up the fences and mow the lawn and make a baseball field happen that simulates that particular park's dimensions.
Yeah, let's also get a good defensive outfield before they actually start that game. Because can you imagine that? As watching Jock Peterson run back for a fly ball isn't exactly going to be the same thing as watching Willie Mays run back for a fly
sure.
ball.
For sure. For sure. There's no doubt about
but
it.
that'd be sweet. Like, they really need to dive into this because it was America's pastime. At some point, they need to dive into the history.
Well, and that's why I think the Sandlot movie, because a lot of people our age are now taking their kids to games and things like that. And so that Sandlot movie is as influential for that generation as Field of Dreams was for the just generation below us.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? Or whatever, in front of us, if you will.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's what I would go to. I would go to a movie like that, and I think you could do something really cool, especially because Benny was a Dodger, and he stole home against the Giants, which is so fake. But he did that, and it always bothered me.
in the Sandlot, you'd think, all right, I'm going to be Benny the Jet. I'm going to grow up to play for my hometown
PF
team.
Flyers?
I'm going to get the PF Flyers. I'm going to outrun that dog named Hercules, which ended up being a really sweet dog.
Yeah. But we all had that dog in our
We all
neighborhood.
had that. We all had that one friend like Squints at the pool, Wendy Peppercorn, and all that. One of the best scenes in movie history. But they really need to take advantage of the history of the game, because that's really what does make it special and what makes people hang on to the sport. Like, a lot of people that still watch baseball, they don't necessarily like it, but it's the history of the sport that keeps them engaged, and knowing that a change could be on the horizon with how the game is played. But people just love the history of it.
Look, we're going to get into the football. Trust me. I just wanted to spend some time on this baseball thing because we bash baseball as a country. It doesn't know what its fans want. It's boring. It doesn't know how to market X, Y, and Z. When they hit a grand slam, you got to acknowledge it and celebrate it. And last night, I'm telling you, this is a grand slam. Even someone who might not stand either the Cubs, the Reds, baseball, you had to flip it on and go, oh, this is kind of cool. Like, even a casual will be like, this looks completely different. This is kind of cool. I'm tapped in. Even if it's for 10 minutes.
Yes, and then in with everything involved with it, I thought it was an awesome spectacle. All right, what's coming up in the game is sponsored by Golden State, lumber and building materials for professional builders and contractors throughout Northern California. Visit goldenstatelumber.com. All right, Shasky, on the other side.
Yeah.
We got to get to this Jimmy G thing. I know we got plenty of preseason to get to. We got plenty of preseason to get to with week 1. I know tonight's game against the Vikings, you can't wait for it. But we had this news surface with Jimmy G, a couple of things regarding his time after he signed his contract after the season of 2017, when he had convinced everybody that he is going to be worth the contract that they gave him. Some interesting tidbits here from Mike Silver. We'll get to all that on the other side, but we got plenty of 49er football to get to as the preseason for the 49ers starts tonight. Stephen Langford in for Bonte Hill. Joe Shasky, as always. It's 95.7 The Game.